content is king. I don't believe that you can produce too much content because there's all these filters and things like that. And if you put enough out there, more people will see it. Welcome to the Matt Laricy Project. This is a show about all things real estate, business, marketing, and entrepreneurship. Each show consists of myself, Matt Laricy, a member of my team, and a guest. This week, we are doing a coronavirus situational update. This is our third week of doing it, so it's a little bit different. We are still practicing social distancing, which is why it's just me and nobody else here. So this would be Season 2, Episode 22, COVID-19, Week 3 podcast. And we're going to do what we've been doing for the last couple of weeks is we're going to update everybody on the situation of what's happening here in Chicago real estate with the COVID. And what we did is we just kind of collected. We get so many questions a day from everybody about like what's happening, what's changing, etc. So what we've done the last 2 weeks, what we're going to do again this week is we're just going through the list of all the questions that everybody had for us. And we're going to knock them out. We put some feelers up there on social media as well. So this is just going to be kind of me reading the questions of what people have, how COVID's affecting the Chicago real estate market. And I guess first and foremost, we have who have seen the Tiger King, and if I think Carol Baskin fed her husband to the tigers. If you haven't seen the Tiger King and you're working from home, which is WFH. The Tiger King is a must-watch. I do agree. I do think that Carol fed her husband to the tigers. But let's get to some serious questions here. Number one, how has the market changed in the last week? The real estate market, I think, has relatively been unaffected. We have seen just people kind of be on pause again. But I haven't seen as many deals die as I have in the past couple weeks. Somebody asked, the shelter in place extended till the end of April. Did anything happen when that was announced? There was no immediate effect of the extension of the shelter in place. I didn't see, it's not like they announced it to the end of April and then like half our deals died. I think what happened is that we did get a slew of people that were saying like, hey, I'm going to pause my search for a lot longer, or we did have some sellers who were like, let's just rent it. But I didn't see anything that I would say is detrimental to the market. I do think if this goes till end of August, we're probably going to see some big problems. But we thought, and we said this last week, that we thought that something would happen that would make it get extended. So now we'll just kind of have to like wait and see, what happens from there. And by the way, guys, this is April 3rd, and it's around noonish. So if I tell you something in here from what we're seeing in the market, and you watch it a week later, and something drastic has changed, just remember, we cannot completely predict the future. This is changing hourly. So as of April 3rd, these are the answers that I'm giving you. How do I think the month-long shelter in place is going to affect the market? I don't think it's really going to affect it that much different than it already was. Again, if this goes longer, we're probably going to see prices kind of tumble a little bit. But I think we need to go to August, September to really see the prices go down. For now, I think everybody kind of anticipated it was going to get kind of pushed back a little bit. Are buyers getting more nervous because this is getting delayed? I wouldn't say they're getting more nervous. I would say that buyers are getting more frustrated. There's nothing on the market. So everybody keeps talking about these prices coming down, but literally there's nothing on the market. So as of a few days ago, Cranes came out with an article saying that, inventory was down roughly between 34 to 38%, okay, for existing inventory. So existing inventory is down 34 to 38%. That's huge. New inventory is down 85%. So new inventory coming to the market is down 85%. Now, obviously, we're all thinking out there, well, hey, Matt, not many people are probably listing because we're not allowed to leave our house. I understand it, but is this low inventory going to be a trend? That's my working theory. I think we're not going to have an inventory for the rest of the year. But, for right now, buyers are just getting frustrated because they can't leave their house and they want to buy things, but there's nothing on the market to buy. Are we seeing buyers buy anything this week? Yes, we are still averaging about one sale a day, which sounds great. It's not phenomenal for the time of year. March and April are supposed to be our best months of the year. and April is not going to be great at all. But we are still seeing some people buy stuff. It's moving much slower, and honestly, some sellers are just getting lucky. That's what it is. What am I telling buyers who want to buy but are too nervous about touring or putting an offer on something? Virtual showings. We've talked about this. We're using Zoom, which is obviously gained a lot in popularity. And for our listings, we've been prepared for this. We have VR, we have video, we have floor plans. So some people are buying sight unseen, and the people who are seeing places, there's precautions getting taken. Like, a lot of times now the listing agent's just kind of staying outside of the unit while the people tour inside. Obviously shoes off, people wearing gloves. There's a lot of stuff people are doing. You're not showing 8 places at once, though. I'll tell you that. That's a big difference we're seeing. Normally on a Saturday or Sunday in April, you take a buyer out to see 4 to 6 places, maybe more. You're not doing that. You might see 2 places and you're driving separately. But we are still seeing people go out, just not as often. Are your sellers getting nervous? Of course, everybody's nervous. Everybody's walking on eggshells right now. Everybody thinks the world's going to end, or they don't think it's going to end, whatever it is. But people are nervous right now. I think people are just frustrated because they want to sell. They also don't want people really in their home, but they're kind of nervous about what's going to happen. There's a lot of uncertainty going on. Are you keeping your listings on the market? Yes, we're keeping our listings on the market. Web traffic is still doing very, very well. And as we stated earlier, inventory is way down, so why not keep it on? You're not going to sell your place by being off the market. And I personally think market time is going to be irrelevant. If you come to me in middle of June, you're like, holy shit, that place was on the market for 75 days. It's been on the market forever. I'm going to be like, well, no shit. There was this thing called shelter in place. So the place was on the market. And I think any logical person who's looking at DOM, which is days on market, and saying it's been on the market for a while, but it's been on the entire time of the shelter in place, I don't think it's going to have a negative impact like it would have last spring. We're in a different market now, and you have to adapt to it. So don't be afraid to get it on the market. And that's what I would tell you. Put it on the market. You have nothing to lose. If you want to sell, you're not going to sell as much off market. If you have a luxury listing, are you still listing the place? Sure. It depends, though, also what type of property it is. This is a little bit all relative. Definitely under $1 million, I'm going to list. I would definitely encourage a list. For places that are luxury, it depends if the buildings is allowing showings. A lot of buildings actually aren't allowing people into the building to show the unit. So if I can't show the unit, so let's back that up, even if I am listing properties. If the building's not allowing me to go into the property and list it, and I'm not already on the market, I'm not going to put it on the market because it just doesn't make that much sense to put something on if we can't show it. A lot of luxury listings are in that category too. I think it depends on what type of luxury listing I have, and that would depend on whether or not I put it on the market. But again, I don't think I have that much to lose by going on the market. Call me stupid, but I think that we have the possibility with the lower amount of inventory to take advantage of it. Does the market favor the buyers or the sellers? That's a good question. I think right now, believe it or not, it is even under $1 million, and I think it favors the buyers above $1 million. The reason I think it's even is because, as we've stated, there's not much inventory out there. And as of now, April 3rd, we said, right? April 3rd? Yeah, it's the market. I'm not seeing any sellers cut these crazy deals. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't favor the buyer. So when you look at, does a market favor a buyer or a seller, you have to look at the facts. You can't say, well, John Smith, my buddy who sold 3 places in his lifetime, told me X. I don't give a shit about what John said. We have to look at the facts. As of right now, I'm not seeing people take a 25% haircut on their property. I'm seeing people maybe negotiate a little bit, but there's no inventory on the market, so I can't say that the market's really favoring the buyer. In the seller category, I am seeing people above $1 million cut a little bit maybe of a better deal than I normally would see. Not a huge discount, but a better discount, which is why I'd say there's a slight favor to the buyers. Now, if this shelter in place lasts to July or August, sure, I think it's definitely going to favor the buyers. But for now, because everybody's kind of on pause, I think it's kind of even for the most part. How is the coronavirus going to affect home sales near hospitals? I don't really think it'll make that big of a difference personally. There's not too many hospitals in the city. Like Northwestern's the only big one I know of that's like got a lot of residential stuff by it. And I don't see anybody like not buying because of Northwestern being there. But I mean, good question, but haven't really seen it affect anything. How are we getting business, or how are you getting business? I mean, same way as before. I mean, we're working our sphere. I mean, listen, a lot of people are sitting at home right now. So if you're an agent trying to get business, you should be calling your clients, emailing your clients, putting out content, trying to get stuff. All of our business is being done online for the most part. I'm really trying hard not to meet new people that I haven't met before. I mean, I'm living in the suburbs currently. Not full-time, guys. I live in River North, but we do have an infant son, and there are older parents that we're staying with because we need help because my wife is with our kid all day long. So I'm trying not to expose myself to a bunch of random people I haven't met before. So getting new business, we're doing a lot of phone consultations, video conference consultations for buyers and sellers. So there's still a lot of new business coming in. I will tell you that we're not seeing as much new business come in as we would have in years past. Do you see a lot of deals die this week? So that was a question actually came in a lot, is like, once this thing got extended to the end of April, if we were going to see a lot more deals die. I haven't seen as many deals die as I would have thought. We lost a deal today. But I mean, I feel like we sell a place a day and then we lose a deal every other day. So it's like one step forward, two steps back every day of the week. And it's a grind. This next month is going to be a grind. This whole situation is going to get like terrible in 2 weeks, like awful, because more people are going to get tested, more people are going to die, and that's going to make more people nervous, and that's going to reflect in the business getting more difficult. I mean, I feel like most of my day is trying to make sure that our deals don't die. So we're not seeing any more deals die than we have in the weeks before. I'd say 2 Mondays ago, last Monday, was where we saw the height of it when the stock market dropped down to like 18,000 and they kind of announced the shelters in place across the country. But since then, I think people kind of realized that, hey, we're going to be staying put. So I'm not seeing as many people panic anymore, but I'm sure it's going to get worse. Are you using Zoom? Yes, we're using Zoom. I will admit that we're very tech savvy. I never used Zoom before now. It's the first time we use it. I think it's pretty cool. I think it could be probably better. I mean, honestly, I kind of like FaceTime more. But I get it. Zoom is popular, and I mean, I wish I would have owned stock in Zoom 6 months ago and then sold it for a profit, given the stock market today. Are your agents nervous about their business? So I'm assuming that means, like, are my agents on my team? Of course. I think any agent is nervous about the business. I mean, I'm nervous about our business. I mean, I think we'll all get through it, but if you didn't have a huge book of business or a huge savings, I would think that you'd be nervous. And our agents are obviously, I wouldn't use the word petrified because we're trying to keep their spirits up, but they're definitely a little bit more nervous because there's a lot of uncertainty out there. And we agents, we only get money if we get sales. So if there's no sales, there's no base. So if there's no base, they can't pay their bills. So I'm sure they're a little bit nervous, but we're trying to keep their heads up on it. How are you encouraging your team to stay positive during this time? And how am I staying positive? I am encouraging my team to stay positive because we're going to get through this. This isn't the end of the world. The sky is not falling. I get it. This sucks. This is a terrible, shitty thing that's happening. You know, it feels like, you know, you put in the news and it feels like, you know, we're never going to make it through this, but we are. We're going to survive. America is going to exist. And that's what I tell them is that, you know what, these next 60 days are going to suck. You're not going to get the sales. Our goal is not going to probably be met, even though I'm going to keep trying for it, but we're going to make it. And the way I'm personally staying positive is I know that we're going to win. And what I mean by that is I know we're going to make it through it. And the reason I know we're going to make it through it is because I refuse to ever quit. So there's going to be two options that are going to come from this. You're either going to make it and you're going to kind of flourish, or you're going to fail and you're going to give up. I know for a fact that I'm going to make it because there's 0% chance you'll ever see me give up. You could give me whatever you're going to give me, but I'm going to keep fighting. You fall down 7 times, I'm going to stand up 8. So that's how I'm staying positive, is because I'm not going to let this drag me down, and I'm not going to sit here and say that this thing's going to win or rule my life. I'm going to say that I'm going to put my head down, and I'm going to work a lot harder, and we're not going to make as much money for it, or a lot of stuff we may be doing for free, but guess what? That's what you got to do to get through it. And in the end, the people who work harder at this time are going to make more and be better and more successful in it. But the problem is, this is like 08, 09, everybody gave up and they said, boo-hoo. Well, guess what? If you want to succeed in markets like this, you're going to have to put in more hours. Are agents from other companies nervous about the business? From what I've heard, yes. There's a lot of people from other companies calling me daily. I mean, all the time. Everybody's asking me the same questions. How is business? Are you seeing deals dying? Blah, blah, blah. I would say that a lot of realtors are like a lot of restaurant people and are a lot of like other entry-level businesses. The biggest problem is that real estate agents don't save their money. And I'm not saying it's just real estate agents, but there's a lot of salespeople that are out there like that. They have a great year. They go buy a nice car. They rent a place they can't afford. And then, we look at 3 months of lower sales and they can't float their business. And I've been saying this forever, that you can't spend a bunch of money and take loans out if you don't have any money in the bank. I always told people that I had a reserve fund where if something ever happened, I'll still be able to make it, because I know that we can't always be in the best economy ever. So every single paycheck I've ever gotten for the last 10 plus years, I took a small portion, not like 50%, but I took a small portion and I put it away in an account that I said, this is my reserve fund. For that, when everybody else pulls back, I was calling it T-Rex arm. So when everybody else goes like this and says, oh, I can't spend anymore, I'm going to double down. I'm going to be able to run my business like I ran it because I saved for this. And that's what that account was for. And I told people this all the time at all these real estate events and stuff that I talked to, is that you should do stuff like that. And everybody said I was an idiot. And now I look like a genius for doing it. But the reality is you always have to prepare for the worst. And I would say real estate agents are types of people that normally don't. And I'm not just picking on agents. I think it's everybody out there doesn't save a lot. And now we're in a terrible position where we're looking at hard times. What is the biggest nervous about today, about the market? The biggest thing I'm nervous about is how long we're going to stay put. Because the longer we stay put, the worse the market's going to get. I'm optimistic. I'm going to look at this with a glass half full or a water bottle half full, that I think this is going to last another month or so. And I think we'll get out there, and I think the market's going to bounce back. It won't bounce back to where it was, but I think we're going to be okay. What do I think is going to happen for the rest of the shelter in place with the market? I think the market's just going to continue to be slow during the shelter in place. And then once the shelter in place is lifted, I think the market's going to start coming back. But I do think that we're going to have a very low amount of inventory for the rest of the year. And I think sales are going to be down because there's not going to be as much inventory. Are some buildings not allowing showings? How are you getting around this? Yes, there are some buildings not allowing showings. They can allow you to show the property because you could say it's a visitor. They can't tell you that you can't go into a property. It's not technically like law. The board could tell you that they could show places, but the reality is like you could still get into a property. You could still show a property. It's just going to make things a little bit more difficult. So if your building's telling you like, hey, I can't show, you could try to get around it. But the reality is, guys, like it is what it is. We're in a weird, shitty situation. You have to respect the rules if somebody really says it. I don't think it's worthwhile kind of like making a huge deal about it if you're not allowed to kind of get in. What are the online presentations you have? We talked about this in our last podcast that we were prepared for situations like this. I never believed in having a bunch of paper or these big books or anything like that for presentations. I always believed in making sure that we had everything online so everybody could have it ahead of time. So before we went into any presentation, I have a listing presentation or a buyer's presentation. We have these online presentations that have the neighborhood video, the video of the listing, the virtual reality video, the pictures, the floor plan, the MLS sheet. So everything anybody could ever want to have is right there. So when people are, scrambling for FaceTime stuff, we already have this stuff. It's not that big of a deal. Our pocket listing is big right now. So pocket listings for everybody out there is a listing that's not currently on the market. That's in the broker community being shopped broker to broker. These are huge. I think more things are getting listed as pockets than they are on the MLS. Reason being is people that want to build market time, or they may not want to show it. So they're trying to shop it beforehand. As I stated earlier, do I think it's a good or bad idea? I think everybody's got their own preference. I don't think there's technically a right or wrong answer for some of that. Are you seeing more drive-by appraisals? We are seeing more drive-by appraisals. Some people aren't allowing people into the property for the appraisals. That's actually been like a big problem for some people. We haven't run into it, but I have heard it. Our realtors taking out this small business loan. There's a lot of SBA loans out there. I'm hearing a lot of people take advantage of it. I mean, there's money out there. It's for people out there that need help. I think if you need it, take it. Do you see vendors like photographers, et cetera, lowering their costs? I'm seeing a lot of people lower cost. Everybody's slashing things left and right. I don't care if you're a photographer or you're selling iPads or whatever you're doing. Like every single second, I'm getting an email from some store that's slashing prices. So yeah, I see everybody slashing prices. What webinars would you suggest to watch? I think this is probably coming because last time I talked about, you got to educate yourself. National Association of Realtors, NAR, has a lot of free webinars. Tom Ferry's pretty good out there. I would Google the people that you like the most and look them up. There's going to be a webinar for everybody. I like Gary Vee a lot. He's putting out tons of free content. Like everybody has content that they're getting out there. And I think that if you're trying to learn, no matter what business you're in, there is so much web content out there that you could just sit on your couch and you wouldn't even be able to catch up with it in a day. What precautions are you and your team taking when showing properties of your own and touring homes for your buyers? Touring homes for buyers, we're driving separately. We're trying to keep it down to 1 to 3 properties max. For homes that we're showing, we have a whole checklist that we send to the seller's agent ahead of time, asking them certain questions, like have they traveled to any Asian countries, New York, Europe, anywhere? Have they had a fever, a cough, any of that stuff? So if any of that stuff, they won't sign it. We're not showing it. We want pre-qualification letters or proof of funds ahead of time, shoes off, gloves, masks, all that stuff. So, we're trying to do as much as we can, but that's pretty much as good as you could get to try to protect it. And some people aren't going to allow you to show. So, if people allow us in, it's great. We're trying to take advantage of it, but we're also trying to be safe as well. Are closings still happening? How are they different? We talked about this last week. Curbside closings are big. We're starting to see the rise of e-closings now, where people aren't leaving their houses and they're doing electronic notaries. So I'm hoping that actually becomes big and sticks. Going to closings and sitting, at the close for 3 hours has been kind of a waste of time. Who knows? Maybe that'll be the next big thing. That could be a good thing that comes out of this. How are other cities like New York coping with the shutdown? Our buddy Ryan Serhan on there, we were emailing yesterday, and they've lost 95% of transactions. Showings are at a complete halt. No new listings are coming on. I've heard the same or similar things happening in San Francisco and LA. So we're seeing a lot of other big cities are getting affected way worse than Chicago. And I think it's probably because we were a little bit early on doing the shelter in place, which kind of helped getting as many people. I think when you see you got as many cases as you see in New York, I think people are getting a lot more nervous about the real estate market than they are in Chicago because we haven't seen as many cases, and that has to do with the shelter in place. We did it early before a ton of cases came here, and I think that's going to help keep our cases down. But again, we haven't really tested that much, so I'm sure our cases are going to go through the roof. Did you go to the office yesterday? I go to the office every day. I still wear my suit and tie. I'm not seeing anybody, but as I've been saying, and I will say again, I'm not going to break my routine, and I think that's what's going to keep us kind of like in business. And I'm going to keep going forward. I'm not going to let this virus get me down. Where is your staff working? Our staff is working from home. Our admin comes in once a week just to kind of, print off some stuff. But, everybody's working from home. We're not trying to encourage people to come to the office by any means. Like the agents that come to the office are mostly grabbing stuff they have to grab and then leaving. People aren't just sitting around or hanging out the office. I also don't think it looks good. We have a storefront. People walking past, you see 10 people in the office. We are allowed to work, but we're trying to only work and be in one environment if we have to be. Why are you considered an essential business? So, real estate is considered an essential business. I think why? Because people have to move. Business still has to happen. It's a big purchase. I don't think you could just, if you're in the middle of a transaction, it's hard just to say it's pause. National Association of Realtors has a huge lobbying power, and they were able to get us classified as an essential business. What has it been like for you being an essential business and working downtown Chicago while most people are not working? It's weird. We're definitely getting, shamed. I'll tell you that. I went to Starbucks this morning at 10 to grab a coffee because it's the only one open on Erie and Dearborn. Shout out to the workers at Starbucks for working. And I was in a suit and tie, and people looked at me like I was crazy and an asshole. But, I kind of feel like a jerk that we come into the office, but I got to. I run a company. Like I said last week, we're a small business. We're a mom and pop shop. If I'm not here working, I'm going to have to lay people off. To date, we haven't laid a single person off. We haven't cut anybody's pay. We still bonused our people out, which nobody else is doing. So we're not going to sit here and not work. We have to come in here. I get it. It sucks and we look like assholes, but we're an essential business and I'm not breaking any rules. So I'm going to keep doing it. Do you think small companies will make it? I just mentioned this. I think a lot of people are going to go under. I think a lot of people are going to kind of consolidate. I think a lot of people are going to get bought out. I do think some big offices are going to take a hit, and I think they're going to go under. I said this last week. I think 25% of people are going out of business in the real estate world. We're going to see a lot of people go out of business. People haven't planned for the future. If you have no money, you're not going to have it 2 months from now. And when you take away the best months, it's going to make things a little bit tough for you. Any advice for people who are stuck inside but want to sell their home in the future? What home projects can they do? Get rid of most of their stuff so when they come back on, they can list. I would say that you could do small projects, but nobody's really working. Honestly, I would just mentally prepare to sell. Selling sucks, but you could try to declutter. But let's face it, if you're at home and you got kids, how are you going to declutter? Honestly, I would just try to think about what you have to do to sell, but it's all kind of like planning. You can't really take much action at this time. I know a lot of people are talking about you could do all these projects, but you're not going to have a contractor in your house if you got kids. You're not going to have a contractor come in and do a bunch of work while you're all sitting around the house because it's going to make a bunch of noise and everybody's working from home. So I hate to say it, but you're kind of SOL. So plan what you want to do, get a list, get the contacts in order, have a weekly planned out of hey, the minute this gets listed, we'll get X, Y, and Z in. But otherwise, that's the best you could do. What did you do in the past economic downturn to successfully navigate the time? You said you got in the business and brought a company downtown in 2008. How does that relate to now? Okay. So, in 2008 and 9, the market sucked. There was a million things on the market and nobody was buying. Right now, the market sucks, but people are still buying, but it is slow. So I think out there, you could prepare yourself, learn what's out there, educate yourself on the market. A lot of people have no idea even how the real estate process works. Understand everything. Perfect your business. Work on your marketing. Pump out more content. Think about what you want to do with your business. It's hard to plan for the future when you're so overwhelmed you don't have a minute to think. Now, and usually when that happens during that time, you're sitting there saying to yourself, well, I wish I had a minute to think about what I could do for the future. Well, now you have that minute. Take the time, take advantage of the opportunity you have now to learn more. Take advantage to get that stuff done with for the marketing plan that you want to do that you're too overwhelmed to do. Catch up on all the work, all the long-term projects that you had on your list to get done. Do those now. Set yourself up for success because if you do all that stuff now, when the market comes back, you're going to be the first in line to be prepared to get all that business. It was great. Oh, that's it. Those are our questions. We're going to make this weekly. We're going to try to update you kind of on what's happening in the market. Like I said, today's April 3rd. Look us up on Instagram. Take a look on our Facebook page, on our YouTube. Leave a comment. Let us know what questions you have on the market. If you want us to talk about something next week, leave it in the section. Ring the little bell, subscribe to us, so you're notified when this comes out next. But make sure to tune in. Stay safe out there, guys, and stay positive. Thanks for listening to the Matt Laricy Project. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast, follow us on Instagram, and like us on Facebook.